Hello, Jeff Nichols. Welcome to Cannes. Glad to see you back here. Hello, Matthew McConaughey. It's great to see you again. Reese Witherspoon, it's the first time for you. I'm delighted to meet you. And of course, you have two young actors with you who are wonderful in the film, Ty Sheridan and Jacob Luffland. Welcome, boys. Good to see you here in Cannes. It's an original script. Where did this wonderful story come from?
Originally I was walking around the public library in my hometown in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I found a book of photos about people that made their living off the Mississippi River. And I was just inspired by it. And it had houseboats like you'll see in the film. And I began to think about the Mississippi River. And I'm a huge fan of Mark Twain's. Right. And I just started to think that a contemporary film set on the Mississippi River that took all of the myth and kind of all the legend of that place would be something worth exploring in a film.
Pourquoi y avoir inscrit l'amour dans votre histoire?
Why have you included love in your story? Because there are different visions of love in your story. There's suffering. There is suffering because of love. Why?
Well, actually, at the time that I first started thinking about it, a girlfriend of mine had just broken up with me, and my heart was broken. And I started to think, you know, of this story as a moment in not just a boy's life, but all of the characters, a moment in their life where they have to come to terms with love and try and sort it out for themselves. And I was dealing with that in my own life at the time, and then as I got older and I actually began to write the story down, it grew and deepened. But you know, I think love is an interesting subject, and I think especially love for a teenage boy, it's the most intense love you'll ever feel in your life, you know? It doesn't mean it will be any more committed or serious later in life. It just means it's intense, you know? It's the highs are high and the lows are lows. And I wanted to try and encapsulate that somehow.
About this intense love, Matthew McConaughey, your love experienced that love as a teenager and was living that love still, and that was the cause of his downfall. How could you describe the riverman that you play?
I play Mud. He's a man who's been in love with this woman since he was, what, 8 years old?
Right.
And unconditionally in love. He serves as a sort of a conduit for this young man's sort of coming of age to keep his dreams of love alive, really. Mud's a guy who, say he's 40 years old, he's on the run for a crime of passion, for killing a man that was harming her. Unconditionally for the past, whatever, 35 years, he's loved this woman. She's left him many times, but it never really even, I don't even know if it bothered him to this point. He's like a Labrador dog. You know, a Labrador dog will keep coming back and just licking you and saying, please take me back. No matter how many times you kick him to the porch, he just keeps coming back, and he'll do it forever. Actually, if he didn't keep doing it, I think he would die of a heartache.
Il est très amoureux de vous, Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, Reese, Matthew McConaughey is really in love with you. What appealed to you in the role of this femme fatale? And also in the world that Jeff Nichols has created, what inspired you to participate?
Well, I was a very big fan of Jeff's film. I saw Take Shelter, and I thought that he just had a very unique voice, particularly that dealt with a world that a lot of people don't see on film, the American South and sort of the poor American South. This is not something that you see as the subject of films very often. So, and he wrote with such authenticity and honor and dignity of the people that come from that area, and I'm from that region, so it really spoke to me. And I met with Jeff, and we talked and exchanged a lot of ideas, and I just really was excited to participate in something that was really a true American story.
Indeed, it's a very American, there's a real spirit of America in your film. Ty Sheridan, is the young boy you play anything like you are in real life? Are you in love? Are you a bit of a fighter? Are you an adventurer? Or did you create a new character in front of the camera?
I've never been much of a fighter, but I do see a lot of Ellis in me. I'm down at the river a lot with my dad and his friends, and you know, I've always been intact with nature and the outdoors, and but there was some things that I created. Like, I'd never really been in love with a girlfriend. I never had much of a girlfriend, and I didn't know how to play that off. But you know, I came to Jeff, and he gave me a lot of information. He told me the story he was just talking about, and you know, it really did help me.
Quel âge vous avez?
How old are you?
I'm 15 now. I was 14 during the
15 ans. Et Jacob?
Jacob, how old are you?
I'm 15.
Quelles indications vous a donné Jeff Nichols?
What instructions did Jeff Nichols give you to enable you to act the role?
Sur le plateau, quelles consignes?
He pretty much just gave me a script and said go with it, and I kind of just played myself. I really relate to Neckbone. I mean, to the fullest extent, and so I just played myself. I didn't really have to get into character that much.
Jeff, it's good.
You're all very pleased to hear the children's reactions. That's nice to see. These two children are wonderful. Ty was in the Terrence Malick film last year, won the Golden Palm, The Tree of Life. Is it just is there a link? Why did you choose Ty to play in this role, because of the link with The Tree of Life?
Well, there's a very literal link, which is our producer Sarah Green, who produced Tree of Life and produced this film as well. In fact, I was in Austin, and they were bringing the boys in to do something for press, and Sarah called me and said, "You have to come meet Ty. I think he might be perfect for Ellis." You know, he had aged since he had worked on the Tree of Life, and so there was a very literal connection to Tree of Life. And then, I mean, you've seen the film. The Tree of Life it's a beautiful film, and I think the parts that Ty, when Ty's in that film, he's just got this beautiful energy that comes out. There's one shot in particular at the end of the film where he's walking on the beach and he's just throwing his hands up. I think they're chasing birds or something, and it's just this energy that's natural and honest and beautiful. You could just see it; it just comes out of the inside of him, and that was undeniable, you know. And I think for both the boys, you know, they have this kind of inner light or this spirit that it made my job very easy. I just turned on the camera, and great stuff happened.
When you were talking, Jeff, I saw Reese Witherspoon tenderly looking towards the children. Is it easy to work with young children like this? Do you work with youngsters as you do with adult partners?
Well, I feel a particular affinity for these two boys because obviously they're wonderful in their parts. When you see the film, they're magical performances, so natural and authentic. But I think I was 14 years old when I was found for my first movie and in Tennessee, and the first film festival that I came to was in Deauville, and I had this sort of magical experience of coming to France, so I'm so excited for them, and it's just a wonderful time, and it's so great to see them here with their families, and just, you know, being the wonderful young actors that they are with so much future ahead of them.
Indeed, we can imagine they have wonderful futures. So for you, Matthew McConaughey, when you're on screen with the boys, you work very well together. Was there a lot of rehearsal beforehand, or did you work with your instincts?
There wasn't much rehearsal. No, there wasn't much rehearsal. I was immediately comfortable with them. I mean, it was also fun getting to know them through the work, and as much as the work could feel like play, and sort of, you know, my character has a very, very young heart, in some way, as young as theirs in many ways, and sometimes even younger. So there was an innocence in which all three of us were looking at the world. Now, I had much more experience, but the way I chose to look at my past was always with a shiny, bright light and optimism. You know, there's not a touch of cynicism in the character that I play. And so we got along as three young boys in a way, you know?
In fact, there's no cynicism, there's no arrogance in your films. You're very close to your characters, close to the children. Are you interested in childhood as a theme?
I certainly was, in particular with this story. I mean, it's what Mark Twain did so well with Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. He was able to bottle the essence of childhood and add wit and, you know, social commentary on top of it. And even though I might aspire to it, not saying I achieved that, but, you know, I love my characters. I don't use my characters as pawns in some big scheme. I really have an affinity for them, and I see myself in all of them, even the female roles. You know, I love these people, and I care about them. And I think sometimes in films you see characters used as tools for manipulation, and I've never looked at them that way. You know, but on Matthew's point, you know, it was very important that Mud never be the adult looking down on these boys. And Matthew's just the perfect guy for that. He's never condescending, either as a character or even, you know, as a professional working with these young actors. You know, it was almost like everyone was just there together, you know, kind of on an even playing field. And I owe Matthew a lot for, you know, bringing that kind of attitude to the process.
A lot of things happen in all of their hearts and all of the characters. There's action, but there's also the river. I have a feeling that the Mississippi is almost a character. You can hear the sound of boats in the background, so we're not far from the water. It's like a steamboat. So the Mississippi is almost like a character in your film. Do you agree with that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the Mississippi is the greatest river in the world. There's probably somebody boating down the Amazon right now just going, bah. But, you know, for me, the river had a direct impact on the way that I made this film. My first film was very still. It was portraiture of men kind of trapped in a place. And Take Shelter moved, but moved very slightly. It was about this force outside of the frame that just pressed down on the character. But this film was about boys, and it was about movement, and it was about love, and it was about transition, and I needed the camera to move like the river. So my entire approach to the writing, to the narrative flow, and then to the, you know, to the screen direction, it was all inspired by the river, because it's not kinetic. It's not like handheld shaky camera where you're running around and everything's, you know, childhood isn't. I didn't see it that way. It's the river. You know, the Mississippi River flows at about 4 miles per hour. But it's elegant, I guess, and that was the goal. So the river is a visual and thematic anchor for everything we're trying to do.
Thank you very much for all of this elegance. Thank you, Matthew McConaughey, Reese Witherspoon, Ty Sheridan, and Jacob Luffman, and congratulations to all of you for your film.